Well, good afternoon, good evening, Maverick County. Wanted to hop on real quick. First, I hope that y'all have had a very productive week. Muy buenas tardes a todos los que nos están viendo en este momento. Soy su juez del condado, Ramsey, Cantu. Y quería tomar lo que es un momento. I wanted to take a brief moment this afternoon, this evening, to touch on a couple of topics that are obviously out in our community and to inform the community more than anything of the importance of what is ongoing in Maverick County and what we are working towards to continue what is the service that is being provided to the residents of Maverick County. I want to first start off by saying, of course, I'm sure that many of you all have seen that there has been circulation through the media, that there has been a request to the court systems to have me removed from the position of county judge. And I wanted to talk not so much about that matter, but as to the terms as to what has led us to get to this position or to this point in where we are at today. As you know, when I ran nearly 3 years ago, I ran on a platform of being the candidate of change, and the candidate that ultimately would bring a sense of new governance and new opportunities for Maverick County. Maverick County for many years was in a stagnant government. Only certain issues were getting resolved. The politics of Maverick County in the past under the prior administration was one that was of severe control, severe forms of political environment, numbers of people that ultimately had always been scared to confront. And if anything, during my time in office, I have always been a person who has had an open door policy, somebody who has been working to make government accessible to the residents of Maverick County, but above all, assuring that we can continue doing things that are in the benefit of the residents of this community. I want to be, very clear that I have to state that as individuals who have signed or have requested, of course, this petition to have this removal process put in place, obviously it's very clear that the individuals and the attorneys who have signed off on this petition are individuals whom are not supporters of mine, questionable as to them ever being supporters of mine. They are, as you know, the former mayor who has requested this alongside with Mr. De Leon from the Sheriff's Department. We all know that the former mayor and I have had our differences on numerous issues, precisely on a lot of issues that were pertaining to governance in respective entities. And it's okay that we had our differences. I think that we worked through that. And of course, Mr. De Leon, whom is the petitioner on these matters, alongside with Mr. Salinas, have been extremely in disagreement with matters of the respective budgets of the Sheriff's Department. And these are going to be a lot of topics that we're going to be covering. And I kind of want to make it very clear that we're going to be covering a lot of topics, not only today, but throughout this week. This is going to be an issue that basically we are covering a lot of matters that are going on at Maverick County that many people don't want to talk about. And I've come to the point to where, because of these petitions that are filed, because of the attorneys that are even behind all these matters, attorneys that are funding my opponent's campaign, Poncho Nevares, who gave nearly $10,000 to my opponent's campaign, CGC Ritchie, who funded Jerry Morales' campaign in multitudes that are reported on the reporting. And of course, Mr. Heriberto Morales, who is the nephew of my opponent on these matters. On these issues, when I look at this matter, I kind of want to just cover this basis because I feel that it needs to be covered. Many people always tell me, Judge, you don't go out there and you don't say anything. So therefore, we automatically assume that these issues are true. Far from the truth. The reason that I don't ever go out and confront what are a lot of these matters are that I've always had the intention of making sure that people understand that as I have run my courtroom, as I have run what is my position as county judge, I have always done things to the level of where I am trying to make sure that things are done professionally, something that the county court has never had before. County court didn't even move cases properly. And this is something that I want to make sure that the community is fully aware as to what's going on at this point. So, as I mentioned, when I was running under the platform of being a candidate of change. And I'm not going to go into the details and going into the politicizing of a lot of this because situations like this ultimately cause low voter turnouts. And I say that because we should all be interested in seeing that a lot of these issues for wanting to remove me are budgetary matters, that if they truly wanted to make a difference and wanted to remove me, well, they should have done this back in October when the actual budget was approved. Now, on the eve of a runoff election, here we are. This is what they're trying to do. This is their objective, to try to do this. And this is where we are making sure that the community is well aware of what is ongoing on this matter. I do want to also, of course, note that this is in no way, shape, or form that this is going to be an issue of misleading. No, I'm here basically to talk about the facts and what is ongoing with these facts. The facts are, one, the last thing that we ever want to do, at least me as a candidate, is create voter fatigue on this matter to where we're going to try to turn people off with negativity. No, that's the last thing we're going to do. The one thing that I want to make sure is that our community is informed properly. Today we're going to cover two segments specifically. And I wanted to touch on this issue because a lot of this resulted in matters that were reflective of this little book right here. This is the 2026 fiscal year, Maverick County fiscal year budget. The budget is presented to the County Commissioner's Court and is created, this budget, as a budget officer of the county. I have the opportunity to work with the county auditors and create what is ultimately a budget for Maverick County. On these matters, I worked on a budget to present to the court, Commissioner's Court, for approval. That means that 5 people have to approve or disapprove the budget that is being presented. On this matter, I wanted to touch on facts today because a lot of these issues resulted on the concern that specifically was set on the budget allocations that were set forth for the district judges. And I am not here in any way, shape, or form to create what is a sense of what I would call attack on the district judges. No. What this is here specifically is the facts on where we are at. The budget called for a reallocation of certain funding that would be moved to what is now created, what is a county court at law. This county court at law is a new court that would be created and is created by our Texas legislature. The state rep sponsored this specifically, Mr. Morales, whom is the attorney on this case, and caused and asked, obviously, for the court, as the court agreed to approve a resolution approving this new state court, for the purpose, or not county court, I'm sorry, to assure what is a more flowing court system for county court. This, in my opinion, is something that we are proud to see is moving forward. The county has not taken the next steps to appoint a judge. There will be steps that will need to be taken in the next election in November for this particular case, for this particular position, in order to make sure that we can proceed. But when there was modifications and reassessments and reassignments of funding, there was a funding mechanism that we took into play that ultimately reassessed funding from the 365th Judicial District Court, which is Judge Amado Abascal's, and the 293rd Judicial Court, which is Judge Maribel Flores's. On these matters, each respective court receives a certain amount by the district or by the county commissioner's court that approve the budget that's presented to the court. Okay? On these matters, as we look towards the budget, I want to make sure that you as the citizens are fully aware as to where we are with this budget and how this budget came to where it is. When we look at this budget, the 365th Judicial Court has a total of approximately 13 employees, okay? 13, one office, plus the judge. On this matter, this courtroom operates solely on a respective budget that has a number of employees. And this is completely open records, okay? This is something that you can go to our our county budget, and you can see this. You can go to page 156 of our county budget, and you can actually see the number of employees that each of the two district courts has, okay? It's not to take anything away from the district courts. However, it's important that you know where we are and why we're here. The 365th Judicial District Court has 13 employees, with those employees, one, of course, being Judge Amado Abascal. The employees that are there, respectively, we are looking at a total of, and I'll go ahead and read this because I want to make sure that you're fully transparent on this matter and that you understand where we're at. On this matter, we are looking at the employees that are listed here as of the time of October 1st when we approve this budget. Cecilia D. Elizondo, who makes it, and this is, of course, with benefits on these matters. Cecilia D. Elizondo making $93,816. There was a vacant position at that time that was making $94,820. Erica V. Mancha making $92,243. Another vacant position that was making $61,006. Samantha Espinosa making $74,142. Patricia G. Salinas making $177,827. Melissa Garcia making $116,572. Amanda Capetillo making $86,283. Araceli Garcia making $92,938. Jimena Lopez making $70,816. Deborah Montemayor making $110,495. And it's important to note that Ms. Deborah Montemayor is a part-time employee. Just take that into consideration. Ariana E. Hernandez making $85,492. And then a vacant position that was still vacant at that time of $51,532. Okay? These are the 365th Judicial District Court employees. And I say that because This document, page 156 of the county budget, it's fully open. You can see the names, they're all there. And any employee who works for the county you can obviously have those open records listed and provided for salaries, okay? You work for the county, you're working for a governmental entity, it's an open records that can be seen. In regards to this matter, the salaries that are set forth in this budget and the necessary reassignment of funding that was set forth on this budget, it's important that you know that at that time, the district judge had 3 vacancies, okay? That resulted in over $200,000 that could have been easily reassigned without affecting any one individual. October 1, okay? The 293rd Judicial District, which is under Judge Maribel Flores, had a total of 10 employees. Within those 10 employees, Guadalupe Adams, making $104,496. Lisa Blanks, making $159,995. Raquel Hernandez, making $117,634. Monica Moreno, making $65,121. Rosa Gladys Valle, making $88,359. Stephanie Ontiveros, making $60,779. Migdelia L. Morales, making $49,416. And mind you, that is the wife of my opponent at this point, just so that y'all are aware and where she works. Emily Esquivel, making $81,648. Guadalupe V. Rodriguez, making $48,324. And Yolanda Gomez, making $60,616. This is nothing against any of these employees. I'm stating simply the facts of what they're getting paid and what we're seeing, okay? I want you to know that these departments, both of these departments, the 365th, works specifically on a department budget that is 3 counties, okay? Because they're Maverick, Dimmitt, and Zavala. 3 counties. On that matter, that department receives, of course, funding from Dimmitt and Zavala, okay? They receive approximately 194,000. 365th receives 194,882 from Zavala, and 262,667 from Dimmitt. The 293rd Judicial District receives 293,671 from Zavala, and 218,536 from Dimmitt. What am I telling you all here specifically? That the 365th Judicial District District Judge's Office, or the 365th Judicial District Court Office, receives $1,076,055, and the 293rd Judicial District receives $1,170,287. At the time of the creation of the new court, we had to assess, because certain cases would be coming not only from the county court, the court that I preside over, but also from the district courts. And it was a percentage that was going to be coming in. Despite if it was a larger percentage, a minor percentage, the percentage was there that we were going to be modifying necessary legislation even in the next session, which is coming up next year, to make sure that people were fully aware as to how this court was going to be funded, okay? Maverick County works on a $29 million budget. $29 million. The city of Eagle Pass works on approximately $58 million. So how is this making this case obviously an issue? What we had here obviously was, from what I see, we have a total on these matters that were specific, that on the respective courts that were coming up on the matter, the cases that were coming up are very important. Obviously, we want to make sure that cases are moving forward, that they are moving in the direction that they should, to keep justice moving in the right direction. That is the goal that I have as a judge. That is the goal that the judges have. But there's also an understanding that when we look at these matters, we have to see this from a standpoint that is making sure that people understand how the budget works, including, of course, our very own elected body. This is not an issue of budget cuts. This is an issue of reassignment of funds and assuring that people are not just continuing to grow departments in levels to where we have become literally a county that has not been able to properly assure that the departments are running as efficiently as possible. In this matter, I, even in my department, cut 3 positions that were set forth. I released an executive assistant position. I released 2 grant-funded positions to not have any conflict. And it was roughly around $90,000 that my respective department lost. On these issues, did I need the staff? Yes, I did. But I also knew that our budget was very tight and that we needed to make sure that the development of our next budget was going to be one that was going to be accessible and easily with the opportunity to assure that we would not go into a greater deficit, okay? While creating a budget, and I've been doing this for many years as a mayor, I worked on budgets at the city. Now, of course, here I'm not a stranger to budgets. So this to me is extremely important, that when the district judges for many years have been given everything that they have wanted and have grown a department to over $1 million in an operation that, when you look at Travis County specifically, I can see that the Travis County budget, and we're going to look at this, and this just is pretty clear here on the matters of Travis County. A Travis County court coordinator runs between 53,000 and 66. Here, we're paying hours over $116,000. Is it fair? Is it right? Probably not. In my opinion, it's not. I believe that we've gotten to a point to where our departments have ultimately had, or at least these 2 departments starting first, because that's the ones that I'm talking about right now. And I'll talk about all of our departments during the segment of the week. But this issue here specifically is one that I have literally seen that has caused all of this. And why, shall I say? Because a lot of these issues have been the fact where for many, many years, as these departments have continued to ask for more or demand more or to get more, they've been able to do so in order just to make sure that there were certain agreements, certain abilities to work on certain things. I don't play that way. I do things based on what the numbers are and where we're at. And I'm not going to sit here and try to put this in a position where it's okay to do that. I'm defending your tax dollar, okay? And I can finally agree with Trump on some issues as a Democrat. I can finally agree with him on some things about sometimes you do need to drain the swamp. And let me tell you that Maverick County, we have a lot of issues that we need to work on. And the reasonings why a lot of these issues are not getting resolved is because I'm getting in the way of your tax dollar with certain people who want more and more and more and more so that people can get paid these extreme amounts of salaries, well over $100,000. That's not correct. And it's not fair for the taxpayers, because you know what? Those employees whom are getting that I'm glad. Hey, if they can get that within the budget that's being created for them, good for them. But I also believe that all Maverick County employees deserve an increase. I believe that all Maverick County employees should be treated with that same opportunity, and that just because they're the district judges, they can obviously come up with this plan of they can issue what they need, what they want, how they're going to do. It doesn't work like that. In my opinion, it doesn't. Maverick County is a team. Maverick County is all of us. At the end of the day, we all have Maverick County on the shirts that we wear, on what it is. We're a team of people whom are working for this community. But yet only some are allowed to continue working in that capacity at a 6-figure rate. Is it fair? These people are making more than I am as county judge and CEO for Maverick County. Is it fair? It's not fair. You have people whom I don't agree with on certain other positions, whom have been working for Maverick County for well over 26 years, and they're barely making almost $56,000. Is it fair? And that's why when Commissioner Ruiz brought up the fact that we needed to do a comprehensive pay plan study, I felt that it was important that we needed to do that. But I also feel that it's important for us to do not only a comprehensive pay plan study, but to do a comprehensive review of what is actually happening in every department. Have a company that specializes in this review and actually will report back to the court as to those employees, or if that department needs more help, less help, how we can work that out. And I'm telling you this as the CEO for Maverick County. I'm not telling you this as a target for employees. I'm telling you this because with the budget that Maverick County has, Maverick County cannot continue to operate as it is. And I tell you this so that you fully understand where we are. When I came into office, before I took office, David Salcedo took action along with his court at that time to raise the minimum wage of the employee to $15.25 an hour. That's great. I have no objection to the $15.25. What I do have an objection to is, how do you afford the $15.25 an hour when you don't have that money coming in respectively to the county? And when the auditors, because we're going to talk about them right now, when the auditors come back and say that at the time of that approval, the county of Maverick had approximately about $9 million in COVID money that was allowed to be utilized to fund what is this pay raise. Okay? Instead of utilizing that COVID money on businesses and every other sense, the employees or the court decided at that time that they could give them a raise. And I'm glad that they did, because Maverick County employees, when I was at the city of Eagle Pass as mayor, we raised the minimum wage there. and completely in agreement with it. But I can also note that when you get to a entity and you see the entity in the financial crisis that it's in, you shouldn't make those types of adjustments to a budget that the entity cannot afford. But David Salcedo was on his way out, did that 2 months before leaving office. So what did he do? He left this administration basically eating up that $9 million that everybody says that I ate up. I didn't eat up anything. David Salcedo and his administration knew exactly what they were doing. Jerry Morales knew exactly what he was doing when he voted and raised his hand alongside with David. Those are the types of negative implications that cause us to be in the position that we're in today. Those are the types of negative factors that we all need to play into as to why certain people want to remove me. Because I call them out on their BS. They don't like it. And it's okay. I'm not here to make people within the organization happy. I'm here to do a job and to make sure that we actually accomplish keeping our budget on target, which is what I have done for the last 3 years. But speaking of where we are at, and speaking, of course, of the district judges also appoint our county auditor. And our county auditor, of course, appoints her respective staff. And every year that I have been there, I have received orders, as you can see, that are signed there from District Judge Alascal, Judge Flores, and these are orders, okay, court orders that are submitted to the court to modify the salaries of the employees of the auditor's office and the auditor. When our employees have to go without, okay? When our budgets are tight as they are enough. But yet, we are going to have auditors that are going to be working on the amounts that are set, that ultimately make what is more, I should say, if not the same, if not more, than how employees in the district judge's office are. And it's a shame that while they do work, and I appreciate the work that they do, I can tell you that, is it fair? I don't think it is. That the Commissioner's Court is forced to approve these pay raises for these employees based upon action that's taken by 2 district judges who know nothing about the county budget other than, it's okay, just go ahead. Stamping and allowing the courts to demand that our county auditors receive increases. It's no secret that our county auditor and I we've had pretty much differences, I'll put it that way. As you all are aware, my county auditor was my city manager when I was mayor. The city council removed her as city manager. And since then, you can just say, I guess for lack of better terms, we have had bad blood since then. Very difficult situations. Many of you all know that this is an issue that has been ongoing. It was what I consider to be a very ugly divorce. Let's just put it in those terms for the sense of, no pun intended, talking about courts in that matter. So as you all know, Gloria Barrientos is our county auditor. On these issues, we have dealt with a matter that has been very difficult for some time now. And when I say it's difficult, it's because ultimately you have someone at the helm who has not been able to work well with the county. And why? Because of the relationships that are there. And this should not be an issue about personal relationships. Maverick County works together as a team. And I've always said it, despite our issues. And I've got some issues with some other officials. But at the end of the day, when they call, I'm going to respond and try to come up with the best possible solution. But unfortunately, with our auditor, it's a very difficult, very, very difficult situation. On this matter, the district judges, both Judge Abascal and Judge Flores, appoint the auditor. They appointed Ms. Barrientos, knowing well, because I did speak to them about it, that I felt that there was going to be a concern with the working relationship that we were going to have, and that it would be in the best interest to possibly consider looking at Ms. Barrientos as an interim auditor, and to make sure that we could keep the fluidity of we would be able to work to get things accomplished. And while the office is independent, I completely respect that. At the end of all of this, we're still Maverick County, one team, okay? That's something that I believe has failed to get accomplished in this matter. The district judges appointed her on this matter. And approximately, we're looking at that individual, of course, what is budgeted. And this, of course, is on the budget. I'm reading to you all respectively. And there could have been modifications done to the orders that might have reflected another pay raise, because this pay raise was respectively set. But with Ms. Barrientos, who makes approximately $123,052, Maria Sarmiento, who makes approximately $102,717. Pablo Hernandez, making $83,379. Carla Mazuca. Carla, I saw that you were watching there. My best to you. $107,785. Veronica Jimenez, $65,381. Valeria Mendoza was making $78,048. I believe that Valeria is now at the city of Eagle Pass. Luis Rodriguez, $93,131. And the other individual, which is now making $69,546. And all of these matters come to us in the points of orders. And I'll show you, because there's multiple orders that are filed. You all can see this. Y'all can ultimately see how on these matters that they are set by the district judges, you know, and are pretty much brought forth to the court for approval. We don't have a choice. We just have to do it. We are forced to give these departments raises by the district judges. I would love to give my employees at the county, all of our employees, a raise because they deserve it, but yet we can't. But I have to be forced to give these increases to those employees without even taking into consideration that our budget is as tight already as it is. So I look at this matter and I obviously see that where's the fairness? Where is the understanding of the district judges? Where is the ability for our judges to take into consideration that there's only so much money that can go around? So I say, of course, to all of the the employees of Maverick County that I'm sorry that we can't give you all increases, because apparently the district judges seem to think that those departments are the most important, and it's unfair. It is very unfair. When you're not getting an increase, think about those two employees or those two officials and the auditor's office, because they all got their increases. And it's okay, because I've heard in recent conversations and recent comments to the court, well, you know, they're all hard workers. Every employee in Maverick County is a hard worker. Every employee, whether they are working in the sun with a road and bridge department, whether they are working in a commissioner's office, whether they are working in distributing food for our elderly at the nutrition center, whether they are distributing food at the food pantry, whether they are working towards making a difference in planning, whether they are working in seeing what it is that we can do to move forward with the matters of our county court system, with our clerks at the district and county. All of those employees deserve it. All of them. Every single one. But there's only so much that we can afford. And it's like a budget. It's like a budget. It's a household budget. You want to make sure that, you know, hey, your house has a roof leak, but you want new tile. Well, yeah, I think there's priorities that we need to take care of. Because with that roof leak, you're going to have damaging to that tile later on. So let's fix that roof leak first. Let's make sure that there's issues taken care of. It's a process of how you budget and how you move forward. It's the basics of budgeting, people. And it is unfortunate that while I have seen what I consider to be a very interesting conspiracy in all of these matters, I would have to say that this issue is only the reality of what is going on. This is the reality of what's happening and what is going on. And I think, Benny, you're asking a question as far as why my secretary is getting paid $90,000 yearly. I don't have a secretary in my department. I have an accountant with an accountant degree from Texas A&M that works to make sure that they are actually doing their responsibility of working not only what is Maverick County's budget, but that is also working HFC matters. So the question comes down to, you want to talk about my budget? Let's talk about my budget. I have no problem with that. My budget in total, and from what we are seeing on these matters, from nearly all of these particular issues in personnel matters, my budget is strictly in personnel services, $280,054. Just so y'all can see. Go to page 10 of the Maverick County budget and see how when they bring up these issues and there's people that are out there and that are misinforming a lot of the information, that's reality. I have specifically said, and have no issue resolving or giving those discussions, you know, for what is in the county court matter. A lot of my positions that are in my office, I went out and I found grant funding. my coordinators for the legal department in the legal portion, my court coordinator, almost 80% of her salary, I believe it's 60 to 80% of her salary is coming from Operation Lone Star. Because there's a lot of issues that are being covered for that matter. And that's together with indigent defense. 2 responsibilities that are ongoing there. There are 3 people working in my office. 3. And just like that, I have a great team amongst all of our departments that are at the courthouse that if something's needed, another employee comes in from another department to assist. We have a working relationship. That's the difference here. And I'm grateful for that because my employees, our employees at Maverick County are good, hardworking employees. And I'm grateful for every single one that we have that are in my respective departments that I am responsible for. I'm grateful for them. So what I wanted to bring to you all today was facts over fiction. Because a lot of things are going on in Maverick County. And you all are hearing a lot of things from a lot of people that don't know the first thing about what's going on in Maverick County. So I felt it was important, and you're going to be hearing me these next couple of days, talking about a lot of things. You can either consider this an opportunity to hear the transparency of everything that's ongoing with facts and where I'll be able to obviously tell you what pages are on, and you all can go onto the county website and cover the budget and see where it is. It's reality. It's there. But I want you all to know that I have never in my 20 years of public service had to deal with such political games as I am right now. This is the second time they've tried to remove me from office. I think that that is actually something that I can look at and say, I'm doing something right if they want me out of the picture so bad. And I think that as voters in this community, as this election is approaching, what a convenient time to bring all of this up as we are on the eve of a runoff election. And as I look at the petition that was filed, and I'm not going to go into details about that because it'll be, that's obviously going to be a legal issue. As I look at that and I look at the people whom were ultimately behind this, and I'll say it again, just the attorneys alone. This is an issue where they have funded my opponent's campaign. They have paid for my opponent's campaign. And there is a lot of issues with what we're facing here today. So I am going to continue working hard for our employees, for our citizens, for people to realize the reality of Maverick County. And believe me, there's a lot more. Anytime you see me on a live, you better jump on, because we're going to be exposing the truth about Maverick County and why there are people who ultimately have issues with what I am doing in this county. I'm not going to make these long segments. I'm going to make them short, concise, about 45 minutes to an hour, in order to do what we need to do. These are important matters. These are important facts that we need to continue working on. And I'm going to continue doing what we need to do. And I think you're mentioning something, Mr. Ortiz, about no money for our roads. Let me remind you all that when I came into office as that candidate of change, I sent it to the voters. I sent it to the voters for a $15 million bond to be considered and approved. And unfortunately, because people wanted to listen to certain people, including my opponent, Jerry Morales, who was out there collecting signatures to stop the bond and to basically say that there was going to be, that signature was going to be set on what is needed for, or to remove me at that time, because at the beginning there was apparently signatures. I don't know how many times they've tried to remove me. And it's the same people every time that wish to remove me from office. I ask you all that you be cognizant, that que tengamos lo que es la mente abierta a ver que las personas que realmente quieren removerme a esta posición son los mismos que han estado. So I think there's and this to me is important, because in this bond, there was no tax increase. There was no effect. We have enough money in our INS fund to cover to where there wouldn't be an impact on a certificate of obligation for this. So all I can say is, in regards to all of this, is that we are trying to do everything that we can for our colonias, for our offices, for our court system. Pero quieren seguir jugando juegos políticos. Pues, ahí está. And I think there's an interesting topic there. You know, in regards to this, yeah, that's very, very true, Sebastian Rodriguez. The whole situation does remind you of Donald Trump and people having an issue with him because he was using the same tax evasion procedures as everyone else was. He was just honest about it. Well, and that's a whole other topic that we'll be covering also, when they talk about tax issues and taxes in regards to the situation that occurred, that ultimately occurred because of these same people. It's very clear with what is going on. It's very clear that people want to hang on to what is power. People want to hang on to what is opportunities to continue gaining financial opportunities and gains. It is unfortunate that this is where we are at. No, Yolanda Espinosa, I don't know what you're coming out where you're saying admitted you and others were doing unlawful things and you got caught. Please tell me where. Because unlike anything else, I want to make it very clear to everyone on this thread, is that I can sleep very well at night knowing that I have never done anything that is done illegally of these matters. Any issue that I have done has always been reviewed properly through the proper legal department. That is the way that I have worked as a city mayor. That is the way that I have worked as a councilman, as a mayor pro tem, as a member of working for the state senate, now as a county judge. So no, far from it. Far from it. But it's okay for you to have your opinion. And it's okay for people to have their opinion. That's not why we're here. We're here to simply state the facts, and so that people in this community understand what is ongoing at Maverick County. So on all of this, I'm asking, of course, that we continue working towards making Maverick County better, towards making it a better county for all of us, to where we can continue working cohesively as a community, that we can make that change that everybody wants in our respective colonias, in our departments. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. And we've accomplished a lot in the last 3 years. But I'll be very honest with you. Electing my opponent, that's only going to take you back. That's going to regress you 10 years. Because it's going to go back to the David Salcedo way of doing things. Because that was his mentor. And I appreciate, of course, the support that has been given to of course, over the course of these last couple of weeks that have been ongoing, since the matters that have been seen, since what we are living with and what we are dealing with. And no, I don't give up. I keep fighting. I keep making sure that every step of the way, I want to make sure that Maverick County keeps going in the right direction, and that we have what is necessary to move in the direction that needs to be for this county. And when you talk about some of these issues, I think some of y'all are bringing up these matters about who do I talk to about my property being taken by the county without permission. In regards to those matters, any tax issue, the Maverick County Tax Assessor-Collector, Mr. Ruben Montemayor, husband to our county clerk, Sara Montemayor, that individual has the complete authority to work with the citizens and to make sure that proper tax plans are actually addressed and that can be adhered to. No individual at a law firm, which our law firm is Purdue Brandon, no individual has the direct authority from that law firm without the authorization of the tax assessor collector to proceed with any type of formal process of tax foreclosure. The tax collector is the only individual that has that opportunity to do that. Every tax assessor has had that responsibility. It is the state-given responsibility. That's not mine. It's not Commissioner's Court. We do not. This is the reason why state government has set the county government up the way that it is. So with this whole matter, what I would want to make sure that you all are fully aware is that we do not do foreclosures. Commissioner's Court doesn't do that. That's the tax collector. And the tax collector should exhaust all opportunities before doing anything like that. Because the last thing that we want is to take a property away and there's no income generated for the respective entities. And that's all of the entities. City of Eagle Pass, Maverick County, school district, hospital district. If that's taken away and it's going to sit in trust by one of the entities, all of us as entities are losing out on money. So we want to make sure about that issue. And we're going to talk about that, Benny. We're going to talk about those taxes. And you're saying pay your taxes. We're going to talk about that. That's coming up. Don't worry. Those are going to be matters that we're going to talk about. And I'm not afraid to answer any of those conversations and any of these things. This is a live. It's interactive. I want you all to have that ability to think that you all are to send me any type of message from there. But I want you to realize that I'm listening. I'm wanting you all to understand that this is the way that this is going to be, and that we need to continue working like this in order to make sure. I have a lot of people on this live right now, and I'm grateful to you all for watching. But I want you all to know that we need to continue to do what is necessary so that we can continue to do the changes. And I think that Ms. Reyes, how are you, ma'am? I think this, as you've mentioned there, in regards to your comment, the issue here is not that anyone feels above the rest of the community by not paying property taxes. My property taxes are paid, and I paid with interest and penalties. Okay? Interest and penalties, the way any individual would. Nobody, and believe me, there could have been a huge matter in whatever was paid in interest and penalties. That all went to the entities. But Maverick County taxes were paid. And I'm not afraid to touch the subject. There's nothing there to hide. Was there taxes that were owed at one point? Unfortunately, due to a jointly owned property by my sister and I, there was a tax matter there. And everything was paid, including attorney's fees. Everything. I'm not afraid to bring this topic up. Let's talk with the truth and from the heart. And I want you all to see that, because I don't have to hide from anything. I'd rather owe taxes than steal, and steal from my family, which is something obviously my opponent has done. Let's look at those matters. And in regards to the reasonings for those matters for not being auctioned off, go back and look at the records, Ms. Reyes. Those taxes were very clear. Maverick County taxes were paid. City of Eagle Pass and Eagle Pass ISD were worked through on payment plans. It's very clear. I have no reason to lie to you, ma'am. I have no reason to lie to any of that. Any family members could go through those issues. But I want people to realize as to why we are all here. And you all have seen that as we are going through this matter, as we are going through this, you all have seen the first phase, and there's still a little bit more to talk about on the auditor's issue. Because as we have gone through this whole matter in regards to the auditors, we are going to continue moving forward with those matters and informing the community as to how and what we're doing. Because I don't believe that anything or anyone should not know about what's going on in their government. And I think that it's a little bit, some people, when I talked to some individuals today, I told them, I said I couldn't join them for dinner this afternoon or this evening because I was going to be working on this live. And I do believe that it is something that for me is very important. But for some of them, they were like, I can't believe that you're going to go out there and expose the facts of Maverick County. Well, I think that it needs to be. We're at a point where people need to realize what's been ongoing. I try to keep, of course, what is our county moving forward without it continuing to be in disarray and all those matters. I try to continue doing what is keeping things professional. And apparently we're just not used to being professional around here. So for me, my professional yet way of doing all of this is going to be, let's have these conversations. Let's go ahead and move forward. Is going to be dealing with what needs to be done and touching the subjects of reality of what is going on in Maverick County. You bring up, Benny, an issue there about Puerto Verde, and we're going to have a whole live on Puerto Verde coming up literally this week. I'm going to be covering this topic, and there's a lot to talk about on that issue. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to shy away from the needs, of course, of our colonias. We're going to continue. We're going to continue talking about that. So bring your popcorn, as they say. Bring your popcorn, because there's a lot to bring up. A lot to bring up. And I am just grateful that a lot of you have stayed throughout this discussion on a Friday. I'm impressed that so many of you are on there. But we've got proof. We've got facts. We've got a lot of information that we're going to be talking about in these next couple of weeks. And we just need for you to understand that we're going to be bringing a lot to you, and that are going to be bringing realities to how we're going to continue moving our county forward. That is my intention. That is my belief, that as an administrator for the county budget, as a judge for the court system, one, I have to defend myself. And that's one thing that a lot of people always said, and I told you that at the beginning. I believe that, it's an issue of setting the record straight, and that's what we're going to do. So right now, this is an issue that I hope that we will continue to be able to move this in the right direction. I do believe that my next live is going to be coming up probably on Monday. Be prepared, because there's a lot to talk about on Monday. And there's going to be more facts, realities as to why we're having issues in certain departments. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to talk about it at all. I think that right now it needs to be talked about. I think that before this next election, we're going to be bringing up realities that some of you all would have never thought of or known about. And before it's said that I'm talking from my office in the county courthouse, I'm not. I am actually at our private law firm and handling this matter separately from county government. This is why I'm doing this after hours. But I think that there's a lot of issues that we need to agree with and to work on with, and moving from that. And Ruben, I think that that's important too, to touch that subject, because Ruben Camarillo, what I will consider my opponent in November, because God willing, we're going to get through this primary and we're going to beat our opponent. You bring up some matters there where you've got some issues, I believe, that are maybe going on professionalism with a county employee that might be directly in one of my departments. And of course, I don't cover what are matters that are on those issues, and I don't condone any issue that is ongoing. But every employee does have the right to have, of course, their private life and what they do in their private life, whether it's work, whether it's whatever way. And those are matters that I do believe that, I will look into and I will continue to address, so that we can continue moving this county forward. I can appreciate, Ruben, some of the things that you have brought up. And I think that it's important to have these conversations. If anything, the importance between candidates to be able to dialogue professionally is something that I am, very proud of, and go from there, So Ruben, we'll be in touch on that matter, and we'll be talking about it. But I do believe that as we're moving forward, we're going to continue moving forward on these matters. We do, and I think that it's important that right now, that in these primaries that we're going through this debate, this matter of the runoff, I would ask, that we should do we should do a debate on this matter. And I don't know how many of you all that are looking at this today would like to see a democratic debate between myself and Mr. Morales. I think that it needs to be held, because the typical way of the Moraleses to do things is to work like that. Jerry's way is working like that, is to do something where they try to get you in the courtroom. I mean, I've lived it already. I've lived it before. And that's okay. That's the MO. But it's important for us to go ahead and move forward on those matters. No, and it's not an issue of never showing up, Benny Flores, but I made it very clear to the board of organizations that I was not going to show up to a debate that was already pretty much going to be allowed to be given by an organization that has been publicly supporting Jerry Morales. There's no point. Give me a fair and neutral venue, I'll be happy to show up. But I ain't going into anything that's already one-sided. So I'm all for a debate. And I ask that we do this, that we let it be run the way that it should be, and that we move in the direction that actually needs to get information to this community so that the community knows what is going on in Maverick County. A lot of topics, a lot of topics. Got topics that are going to be coming up, and that we need to address, then I believe that we're going to have to continue with that. So if you're for a debate, let me know on your comments. Heck, Maverick County Democratic Party held a debate for the 3 candidates running in the primary, and only I showed up. You would think the Democratic Party would actually be the correct venue to have that there. And it's not an issue with the organizations that were hosting it. The issues are that let's remain open to what is out there. Let's remain informed to what is out there. And let's remain involved in the process. Because the last thing that I want to see, and so many people told me this, I don't want to go out and vote. I don't want to go deal with all that chaos that's out there. I don't want to deal with that circus that's out there at the polls. And I'll tell you, it was. It was. No, I wouldn't say that I did fail you, Mr. Esquivel. I wouldn't say that. I would say that in regards to that conversation, that was a matter that ultimately the debate process is still open. We're still in an election. Y hay que darle. Y lo vamos a dar. So I ask for your continued support. I ask for your continued views, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're talking about. And I got a lot to talk about. And a lot of things are going to be coming out. So, transparency. Sandy Sassano, I believe that transparency is extremely key. And that's something that we brought up. You talk about transparency in matters for Puerto Verde. We brought up the fact, and I made it very clear in the last time that when we moved forward with that, we asked for a citizens committee to be formed. It's going to be fully transparent. You ask for matters that are ongoing with the county. Any issue that you ask for is fully transparent. We're going to continue working with it. And Sandy, all I can hear you is basically saying this is BS, walking out of the courtroom. I still have that of you doing that. As the Republican Party chair, I would ask for your ability to also be open to this, because I am your county judge too, despite being a Democrat. Just like I am in any other way, shape, or form. So, with that being said, nomás les quiero decir y les quiero avisar de que vamos a estar teniendo lo que son varios en vivos. Esta semana vamos a estar tocando lo que son varios temas muy importantes para lo que es para el condado. Agradezco lo que son a todos los distintos personas que están en referente de lo que es de esta comunidad, para agradecerle a lo que estamos haciendo para este condado y asegurando lo que son los siguientes pasos para esta comunidad. Le quiero avisar de que en este en vivo que hicimos, pues realmente tocamos algunos de los temas del por qué se están viendo lo que es en algunos temas de referente de lo que es una petición que se entregó por parte de ciertas personas, ciertos abogados, colegas de lo que es de mi oponente para removerme. Ya es la segunda vez que quieren tratar de hacer lo que es esto. Y en trabajando en conjunto con lo que son los distintos oficiales del condado, como la auditora, estamos viendo lo que es un tema que realmente se tiene que exponer. En los siguientes días, pues más que nada, les invito de que forman parte de lo que es de las discusiones que vamos a estar teniendo, porque así como vamos viendo estos temas de lo que es del condado de Maverick y lo que se está viviendo actualmente en el condado, vamos a tener que asegurar lo que es el siguiente paso para lo que es el éxito del condado. Y eso siendo lo que es informándole a ustedes, los votantes, los siguientes pasos para dónde vamos y qué es lo que estamos haciendo. Quiero agradecerle lo que es su tiempo, su forma de tener esa compasión, de estar viendo lo que es este en vivo. Y pues vamos a estar en contacto con ustedes para avisarles sobre el siguiente paso. Nuestro siguiente en vivo va a ser el lunes. Les invito que forman parte. Cuando me ven lo que es tocando estos temas el lunes, váyanse lo que es preparando. Tráiganse lo que son sus palomitas, porque viene todavía aún más que platicar. Esto no es el fin, hay mucho más y vamos a seguirle dándole lo que es la información que se requiere para que podamos seguir avanzando nuestra comunidad. Este es tu condado y les pido que en todo esto, que ustedes sean lo que es el juez, que ustedes determinan lo que es lo que quieren para el condado. I ask you for you as the voters to be the judge and to make the difference in our county with truth, transparency, and the ability to be in contact with me in these processes that we're seeing. Thank you all very much for being with us. I look forward to the continued support, and above all, we're going to continue moving this county forward. Thank you all. God bless, and we'll see you all on Monday.